Hey guys, my name is Bethany Atazadeh and I'm the author of Evelyn's Number. And today we get to talk about something really exciting, which is my publishing plan and my time frame. This is a topic that was actually highly requested in Instagram when I put a little snapshot of my publishing plan for Pearl's Number in my stories. So we're going to talk about everything that I include in my entire publishing plan and time frame and what deadlines I give myself from writing the first draft all the way to publication date and everything in between. And even more exciting, I'm also collaborating with the lovely Rebecca Kelsey Sampson, another author and YouTuber. We decided it'd be really fun to talk about our different publishing plans and different goals, especially since I self-publish and she plans to traditionally publish. So we thought it'd be really cool for you guys to see our different approaches and also to see where things kind of line up, and it's the same whether you traditionally publish or self-publish. My hope is that you guys will be able to take different bits and pieces from both our journeys and be able to make your own unique publishing plan. So again, these are steps to self-publishing, and if you do want to see steps to traditional publishing, make sure to watch Rebecca's video. I'll put a link for it below. I haven't seen her video yet, but I'm super excited to go watch it right after this video is done and see where our journeys might overlap and where we might take totally different directions. Okay, you guys, this is a massive topic, so I'm going to have to hold my detailed self back and stick to a broad, big picture type video. But if you hear a topic you want to hear more on, I get a lot of my video ideas from you guys, so definitely let me know in the comments below. Alright, let's zoom out and talk big picture. To create a publishing plan, you really just need to know two things. What are all the steps from start to finish, and how long does each step take so that you can plan your deadlines? I'm going to try to list every single step in my publication plan for Pearl's Number from start to finish. I will explain them a little bit, but I'm going to have to restrain myself because there's literally 20 steps. Number one is pretty obvious, the first draft. I began working on Pearl's Number on October 9th of 2017. I worked hard on it through NaNoWriMo, which is National Novel Writing Month if you don't know, and I finished the actual entire first draft on December 1st of 2017. However, just because it took me 2-ish months to write Pearl's Number does not mean that that's going to work for you. You should never compare yourself to another writer. If I had done that for Evelyn's Number, I would have felt like a failure because it definitely did not take me 2 months to write Evelyn's Number. I think that first draft took somewhere around 9 to 10 months, something like that. But technically, the idea was brewing since I was a writing major in college almost 10 years ago. I have never met two writers that have the exact same process, and you rarely even see a writer copy their exact process from before. We're always learning and growing. So once again, find out what works for you. I do try to set goals for writing the first drafts just so that I can get it done. Otherwise, I would never get it done. But because it's so unpredictable and changeable, I won't create the rest of my publishing plan until I have that first draft. It would just be too much pressure. Step 2 is to take a break. I actually step away from that first draft for about 3 to 6 weeks, somewhere in that time frame. You've probably heard other writers do that before, and you're probably like, why? Well, basically you need to get a lot of distance from your story because there's such a thing as writer's blindness. After you've been staring the problems of your story in the face for so long, you actually can just stop seeing them altogether. So stepping back from your story gives you some much needed distance, and then you can come back to it with fresh eyes, and suddenly those problems just pop out at you. Basically, the longer you step away, the better. As a side note, I still do continue to work during this time. I just work on something else. Step 3 is editing. Your favorite. Right? I edit the second, third, fourth, fifth draft, as many as it takes. This includes so many things like fast read through, making your outline, reorganizing your outline, deleting things, adding things, you name it. Editing is a beast, and I actually made a video all about my editing process, which I'll put a card up here somewhere, and I'll put the links for that below as well if you want to watch that. But this stage takes me roughly 2 or 3 months depending on how much time I can put into it. However long it takes for you, I view that stage as editing for myself. And then the next stage, or step number 4, is editing for your beta readers. So this edit is different because it's like always keeping your future readers in mind. It means nailing down even more clearly what your exact story structure is, making it prettier, making it more readable, making it more fast-paced and exciting. Step 5 is forming your beta reader group. Step 6 is working with your beta reader group and sending them chapters, receiving their feedback. And step 7 is editing your novel based on your beta readers' feedback. So if you're keeping track, this will be like the 4 to 7 millionth draft probably. Now I have not just 1 but 3 videos all about beta readers, about these exact 3 steps. So if you want to know any of that information in more detail, please check out the links below. I'm really excited about beta readers. You'll find out very quickly. But for my time frame, beta readers take roughly 6 weeks, 7 to 8 if you want to include the prep beforehand and the stragglers at the end. Step number 8 is more editing. Yay! This is typically more of a quick read through, spell check, proofreading, whatever, more detailed and nitpicky before you hand it off to your editor. At this point, your developmental edits will most likely be all done and you will be doing what they call line edits, which is just going line by line and editing more detail. For me, this took about another month, maybe a little less because it kind of melded with the beta reader feedback edit. Step 9 is the editor stage, where you send it off to their inbox and you pray and you wait. It's important in this stage to take a break. Just imagine the migraine that will happen if you've been editing while they've been editing, and then you're trying to merge 2 completely different stories. I know every editor is different, and of course the length of your novel will greatly influence their time frame, but a really rough estimate for how long an editor will typically take is about 1 to 2 months. When you're researching editors, definitely reach out to them when you are probably in your beginning editing stages. Not only is this a good idea because they might be booked a ways out, but then also they can give you a good idea of their time frame. Okay, step 10 is completing the changes from your editor. No surprise there, right? This just means receiving it back from your editor and making their suggested changes wherever you can. Just so you know, you could actually let your editor make the changes for you and send you back a clean document, but I prefer to do the changes myself just because from experience, I found that occasionally they'll base an edit on a misunderstanding. For example, they might add a personal pronoun like she because it was unclear who was doing the action, but really you meant it for one of the men to do it. So you're going to make a change, but it's not going to be the change they suggested. You get the idea. It took me about 3 days total to work through my editor's notes, but I think I'd like to always leave about a week just to be safe. Step number 11 is the proofreading stage. As a self-published author, I pair this proofreading stage with the creation of test copies or proofs on Amazon CreateSpace. The reason I create a proof to do my proofreading is twofold. First, they highly suggest that you proofread it anyway for any weird printing issues that they might have, any mistakes that they might have made, or odd things you might notice that you just want to format differently. But secondly, if you remember that writer's blindness that we talked about earlier, well, for some reason, having a different format of your book, whether printed or the actual book itself, can help remove some of that writer's blindness. So I create a proof at this stage to catch any last minute typos, and the proofreading stage can typically take about 3 to 7 days depending on how long it will take you to do a fast read through. But actually getting your proofs in the mail can take up to 10 days, at least if you're using CreateSpace. And there's a good chance that you might want to make changes to the proof, and that means you would have to re-upload it, which then means you'd have to submit it for approval, which CreateSpace can take a full 24 hours to approve, and they usually do. And then you would have to wait another 10 days for the next proof to be mailed to your house. So each proof can actually take up to 2 weeks. There are options to get it mailed to you faster, but that's very expensive, and I just say it's better to block off the time that you're prepared to order a few proofs and you know it's going to take a little while. Because of all this, I try to give the stage about a month. Step 12 is your release date. Yay! So you're going to pick that based on knowing how long it is going to take you to write and edit in all those different stages. But I've learned from experience that it's really important not to rush things, and so I actually built in a 2-month buffer period. Why do I do this? Well, let's pretend that my betas took an extra week and my editor took an extra 2 weeks because there were things we needed to work out, and then the proof copies weren't working out, so I had to order another one, so that was another 2 weeks. I just lost 5 weeks, but my release date, which I would have announced a few months prior, isn't delayed, and I'm not stressed because I gave myself a full 2 months, so I still have an extra 3 weeks buffer time if more things go wrong. That's not to say that I want to get behind though, because I actually want to have a finished product for the next step, step 13, which is marketing. This is a step that you actually can and should do from start to finish, and you'll do lots of different things, but one of those things will come at the end when you have a completed copy of your story and you can send out ARC copies or advanced reader copies. To send out ARC copies, your book has to be mostly finished, so this is actually the perfect time to send out some advanced copies to readers who will give you reviews and start building the hype for your book before you actually publish. Step 14 is the cover art. It's good to start early with this step because it involves a lot of things. Even just choosing your cover designer and then working with them can take a while as well. You do need to know your full story before you begin working with the cover designer because they need to know that stuff to create a really good quality image. But you could probably get the ball rolling somewhere around the second or third draft if you wanted to. Anywhere between 3 to 6 months before your release date is a perfect time because then you have a cover and you can begin marketing. Your cover is an amazing marketing tool, by the way. Also, while every cover designer is different, they may be booked out a long way, so the sooner you get booked with somebody, the better. Step 15 is interior formatting. So exciting. This is something that I like to do for myself, but it's also something you could hire someone to do for you. But I format my story myself using a template from DIYBOOKFORMATS.com, and I'll put a link for that below so you guys can check it out because it's amazing. I first heard about it from Kristen Martin in one of her videos. I'll put the links to DIY Book Formats below as well as Kristen's channel. Everything she has on there is gold. Enough said. But I love mixing up the DIY book formats to create my own unique template. So I typically like to write my first rough draft without worrying at all about any formatting whatsoever because that's really not the point when you're writing a rough draft. You don't want to be editing yourself at all. And then I usually take that 3 to 6 week break that we talked about and I will use that to format without editing, but I will put my book into the template and make it prettified. I love doing this because then I'm not wasting days right before publication trying to figure out the frickin' formatting. Step 16 is your back blurb or synopsis, and people call it a lot of different things, but it's just, if you take your book, this chunk on the back right here that tells them what your story is about. It's really interesting, just in case you didn't know. Really interesting. So this step is all about creating the best blurb that you possibly can. Since you need your blurb to create a finished cover, like it's on the back, so you kind of need it, plus you do need it for marketing as well, I would say a great deadline to give yourself would be about 2 to 4 weeks before you start working with your cover designer. Step 17 is my outlines. I have a lot of different outlines for various stages in the writing process. They're really rough in the beginning and then they get super detailed and they're usually like chapter by chapter when I get towards the end of the process. I do have a video all about how I initially outline, so it's the very rough, big picture, like what does this story need? And I'll also link that below. I've got a lot of links for you guys, I hope that's okay. And then step 18 is that buffer period we talked about. So we had a step back there with the release date step. It also meshes with the buffer period step. We already touched on this a lot, but the bottom line is leaving yourself wiggle room is really important because things most likely will go wrong. It's just the nature of publishing. It's okay. And leaving yourself that breathing room is going to make your life sane. Step 19 is to use your downtime efficiently. You've probably noticed that there's a lot of different breaks. There's that first one after the first draft. There's the break when you're giving it to your editor. You might take a break when your beta readers are reading it. And of course, there's a break of 2 months buffer time that we just talked about. If we truly take our writing career as an author seriously, that means that we need to be consistent about working during those downtimes, picking up another project, and being consistent about growing our writing skills and our talents. So I use these downtimes to actually work on other projects. For example, right after I finished writing the first draft of Pearl's Number on December 1st of last year, I actually released Evelyn's Number on December 5th and went like headlong into publishing and marketing that book. And shortly after that, I also had a little bit of fun brainstorming and outlining a future fantasy book series. Basically, the bottom line is don't let that time go to waste. Keep investing in yourself as an author and developing who you are as a writer, even during your breaks. And step 20 is the book launch. There are a billion different ways to launch your book, such as an online launch party or a physical book signing / launch party. Or I will also include a bonus suggestion. You could try a Kickstarter, which is what I did. It's really, really important to begin your book launch with some sort of party or celebration, something that gets the word out there and actually launches the book into the public so that people know it's available to buy. I'm leaning heavily towards doing another Kickstarter for Pearl's Number because I love the way that it's like a mix of pre-sales, but it's also like a really epic book launch, and on top of which you're able to personalize everything and add all these amazing extra rewards. My Kickstarter for Evelyn's Number allowed me to add all these cool things like personalized mugs, notebooks, magnets, even the necklace on the front cover. Plus, on top of all that, I'm able to write personalized thank you notes to every single one of the people who support me to say thank you so much, you mean the world to me. All that to say, whether you go the route of a traditional launch party, an online launch party, a Kickstarter, or even something else, it's most likely going to take a ton of planning. When you first start plotting out your publishing plan, your time frame, and all those deadlines, try to keep it really flexible. Things will change and it'll start to cement and solidify more as time goes on. Give yourself room to mess with it and figure out what works for you, because we all do things differently. There is no one perfect plan for everybody. We all need a different plan. But seriously, you guys, I really hope this helped you out in some way, and I'm super excited to see what Rebecca has for us as well. If you like the content today, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to support my channel. That will really help me out a lot. My novel Evelyn's Number is available on Amazon, and I have signed copies on my website. Plus, you can also read the first 2 chapters for free, also on my website. I will leave the links for that below. Definitely check those out. I don't usually ask this, but I wanted to throw out the idea to those of you who have read Evelyn's Number to maybe consider giving it a review on Amazon or Goodreads. Apparently, those are huge for authors and are really, really influential in someone else buying the book. Thank you guys so much for watching and for being here till the end of this super long video. I'm so excited. Now we get to go watch Rebecca's video and find out everything about her publishing timeframe and her plans and how she's going to get into traditional publishing. I can't wait. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye!